Okay, he said go. Okay. Kevin John here for ABC 10. We are in West Stockton. We're right off 8 Mile Road. The nearest cross street is King Island Road, and just a very unfortunate scene and very tragic scene, to say the least. Let me just kind of bring you guys up to speed on what happened. At approximately 3:45 this afternoon, there was a collision that took place right behind me. Vehicle was traveling westbound on 8 Mile Road right here and somehow veered off and went straight into this slough that you can see behind me. You can still see some of the tire tracks right here, and just went straight into this slough. It overturned while it was in there, and at this time, as far as who was inside the slough, we understand that there were 10 juveniles that were inside the vehicle. There was a 17-year-old female that was driving. We're told that she did not have a license on her. We were also told that several people in the vehicle were not wearing seat belts. Unfortunately, 2 of the people inside the vehicle did perish from their injuries from the accident. Everyone else was transported to a hospital. Some were helicoptered to a hospital, but my photographer Victor here is just going to give you guys a pretty good look on what exactly happened. You could just kind of see where they veered off along the brush and ended up in the slough. They were submerged in water that was coming up through the vehicle. So, and just so I can give you guys an idea on how far they had to veer over, I'm going to have my photographer Victor slowly walk over here. And I know you guys can't see as well, it's extremely dark out here, but they were traveling in the westbound lane, which means they were an extra lane over. So when they veered, they really veered extremely hard to the left because they crossed over a lane. At this time, we were told that there was no alcohol involved, but exactly what led up to the collision is still a mystery at this point in time. They were here until around 7:30 on the scene, first aid vehicles. You can actually see some of the clothes and first aid tape and gloves that are still on the ground here. Now, I want to take you over to this part right here. You'll see a big bunch of brush that's right here on the side of the road. This is actually where they pulled the vehicle from the slough out. So that's why you'll see just a lot of mud and brush here. The vehicle, like I said, was submerged right there in that slough. And this is where they pulled the vehicle outside. And you can see in there, the water does go pretty deep. I don't know exactly how deep it is. I'd say maybe a couple of feet. But it's deep enough to where a vehicle could be submerged. At least half of the vehicle or quarter of the vehicle can be submerged. So this is exactly where they pulled the vehicle out. We don't know exactly where the vehicle is at this time. They're still conducting an investigation. There's still a lot of answers, a lot of answers to give, but there's also a lot of questions. You'll see clothing on the ground right there. You'll see a shirt that's there. You'll see other, debris and artifacts along the ground as well. But once again, for those that are just tuning in, at approximately 3:45 this afternoon, it was a Toyota 2006 Toyota Sienna, which is a van, lost control, somehow veered over and ended up in this slough right behind me. When it went in there, it was overturned, and it was 10 juveniles that were inside, ranging in age from 10 to 17 years old. The driver of the vehicle, we do know the driver of the vehicle was a 17-year-old female who did not have a license. It actually, let me rephrase that. The age range was 13 to 17. There were 10 people inside the vehicle, but the age range was 13 to 17. The driver was a 17-year-old female who did not have a license. And for whatever reason, they ended up in the slough. We don't know how the collision happened. We don't know what happened right before the collision. A lot of information, a lot of facts are still coming in at this time. We've tried to reach out to the PIO of the CHP division, so we're still waiting for some information to come back from that. But we're still gathering as much info as we can for you guys. Once again, this is located 8 Mile west, I would say maybe around 10 miles west of Interstate 5 on Stockton. It's located, and just a very tragic and unfortunate accident that occurred. As of now, we know that there were 2 people that did perish. We don't know, excuse me, I'm losing my footing here. We don't know if there were any other fatalities. There's quite a few of them are still in the hospital at this time, but we're going to just walk you over and take you right to the beginning of where everything happened. Again, for those that just may be tuning in right now, this is basically where the vehicle first veered off, and you can see the tracks down here. You can see the brush. You can see kind of how it veered off in here, and instantly when it went in there, it was submerged in water. By the time first responders and people arrived on the scene, obviously there were severe injuries that had already transpired. Unfortunately, 2 of those juveniles died due to their injuries. The other ones were transported to hospitals. Some were helicoptered. They're still obviously in the hospital at this time. We don't know the condition of some of the other people that were there. We just know that there were 2 that did perish. There were 10 total juveniles in the vehicle, in the car, and they ranged in ages from 13 to 17. Once again, the driver did not have a license, and more information is still coming in at this time, so we're doing our best to relay that information to you guys as soon as possible. But just a really tragic scene out here, really unfortunate how it happened. We don't know if there was we know that alcohol was not involved, but we don't know if there's some other kind of influence that maybe the driver could have been under. We're still finding that information out right now. So I just want to make sure that we're getting everything as soon as possible as we get in here. And, you know, once again, I just want to make sure that you guys do know, and I emphasize that there were 10 people inside the vehicle. Ranging in ages 13 to 17, driver 17. Some of the questions we've also been getting is, what school did these individuals go to? We are not sure what high school that they went to. We know the nearest high school to here is Bear Creek High School, but we don't know if there's any relation between these students and Bear Creek High School. We just know that is the nearest high school that is in this area. We also don't know where these kids were heading. Keep in mind, this is a very narrow road. It's just a 2-lane road, extremely narrow, and doesn't really go, it actually ends if you go about 3 miles up to the 3 miles west. It ends there. So as far as where these kids were heading, we don't know if maybe they were heading west to the Bay Area, but just a very narrow, very dark road. So just a lot of unanswered questions at this time. We're doing our best to kind of figure out that information. And you know what, like I said, we're still trying to hear back from the public information officer of CHP Stockton. So as soon as we get more information, we'll be sure to relay that to you guys. But once again, just a very tragic and unfortunate situation with this fatal accident right here. And you know, we do know that they did clear this area at around 7:30 this evening when first responders and other emergency vehicles left the scene. But once again, this is right here off King Island Road, I believe is the nearest road, in 8 miles. So we'll have a lot more information for you guys coming up at 11 o'clock. We're going to be here, so we'll have a lot more information on you guys from this scene, and hopefully a lot more answers that we'll have from you then as well. But in the meantime, I'm Kevin John. We're here right off 8 Mile Road in West Stockton, where there was a fatal accident that took place here approximately 3:45 this afternoon. We will continue to keep you guys updated as information comes in, and at 11 o'clock tonight, we'll be live as well from here with more updated information.